Welcome, welcome. It's good to be back. Just had a hot bay session, so I'm very integrated and open right now. So thank you for holding space, and thank you for being you. I have a couple things that I want to go over today, mainly updates and essentially speaking about what's happening in the state of the collective right now. So, welcome. Hello, everyone. Send me some love. So I'll probably be on here for a bit, planning to do a integrated space of meditation around 11:11. Today is 11/11/11/2018. The numbers added together numerologically is 11. So we're in a very powerful manifestation portal day today, where massive amounts of information are being downloaded into the collective, as well as each individual cell, which is us, for pulling a co-collective manifestation into this world. And there are a lot of amazing mass meditations happening in the world right now. And the reason for that is because we want to manifest the fullest, abundant, benevolent realities possible for our world and for each other. So, I know I've been MIA since traveling to LA, and the reason for that is because I've just been in this state of integrating with self, as well as preparing physically, emotionally, mentally for the days to come. There are massive shifts happening in the world right now, and it's really important that we're all kind of on the same page, but also taking the time to take care of ourselves. Massively important. Greetings, brother. Greetings, sisters. It's good to be back on here. Feel free to comment and ask any questions. And I will do my best to answer. So let's just take a moment and step into our heart space. Take some nice deep breaths. Allow ourselves to be here and present and now in this space. Feel your heart space. Open yourself up. Hello, Corey. Good to see you on here, brother. So, let's talk about. So right now, in the current state of what's happening in the world, there are massive shifts happening. So many different things are happening at once. I can't even begin to talk about it. But what is being called for the collective right now is to fully step into integration of our highest divine self and self-love. And with that, when we are sovereign, we're able to step into this new plateau of full manifestation of exactly what we perceive. Because what we perceive right now to be becomes the living reality. And there are a lot of codes being delivered as above and below through solar energy. So, speaking on the 144 frequency that has happened, the 144,000 has to do with this numeric code, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you again, Community Healing, for having me out at your event to speak on all of these amazing integrations. I will do my best to get that segment re-recorded and sent out as soon as I'm able to. I'm currently working on getting, Zoom and video integration onto the website. So I'm able to share with you this recording of information that I have, which actually might go over tonight. But essentially, I broke down how this reality works through the codings of how our schematic of perception, which is this avatar, how it works in alignment with the Earth and its direct connection to the solar system and the galactic plane. And so what is happening right now is the frequency of 144 is based off of the schematic code of 12. Everything in the universe works off of base pairs of 12. And the reason for this is because we, as the perceiver of this universe, we have this imprint of a genetic coding that is connected to source reality, or source consciousness. And this is connected to the 12 cranial nerves within our brain. It's also connected to the 12 organs and glands within our body, and many other multiples of 12. So 12 times 12 equals 144. And so this goes the same for our solar system and its direct connection to the entire universe, I guess you can call it. And within our local universe, these are branches of energy systems. So the planetary frequencies are actually vibrational emanations of archetypes that exist within us as well. So for instance, the 12 organs inside of our body, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, all of these organs inside of our body are connected with the zodiac signs, and these zodiac signs are one body, if you will. So there are actually 12 planets in our solar system that play a huge integral role in how we're affected by what happens on a day-to-day basis. And these vibratory frequencies, when they interact with each other, they create harmonies of geometries. And if you study cymatics, which is the study of how sound vibration becomes geometry, this geometry directly affects our template, which is our microcosm, which is us. And beyond that, as above, so below, on every single plane and level. With that said, the 144 is not 144,000 people. It is a frequency that is activated through this coding. If you see our universe as a holographic reality, which is what it is, there's a template in which it follows, and it goes by how memory is stored as well. If you look at computers, the way it computes is through this cubic formation connected to the energy of Saturn. This is how things are organized and measured. And this is how supercomputers operate as well, and how it's base pairs of 12, 32, 48, so on and so forth. And this has to do with the memory that is available to us as well, 64. And so this coding is directly connected to our genetic sequence. So this 144 frequency that is happening right now, being sent out through the entire universe, is resetting our system. And we are going through this massive awakening and purge right now. It's actually, we have been purging, moving into this new awareness. So this frequency is attuning every single person, every single cell, every single reality, every single manifestation of how we co-create. And our emotions, our energy in motion, directly connected to vortices of vortexes of our chakras. Our chakras spin externally outside of our field into our auric field. You call it the Merkaba, it's a Sri Yantra field. And this field is creating a plasma energy. And this plasma energy, when focalized in a centrifugal point, which is a point of awareness through each meridian or chakra, creates and manifests the reality. This is how holograms are created as well. It's through vibration. You can call it ether if you want to. And with that said, since we're going through this massive purging and co-collective manifestation, we're in the stage of manifesting right now. So it's really important to know that whatever it is you feel, whatever it is you focus on, becomes the living template, the living reality that you experience. And so at this time, when we are integrating this vibration and these frequencies, beings from other planes of consciousness are able to assist us as well. The Arcturians, the Pleiadians, all these galactic groups out there, they are able to chime in, but we have to open the door first. And this is how we receive in terms of our auric field. So if our emotional body and our energetic body is cleansed, then we are able to receive this information and project it outwards. So later on in the night, around 11:11, I'm planning, we're going to do a meditation to cleanse our energetic fields and then open ourselves up for galactic guidance from the Federation. The Federation is a group of hyperdimensional entities, but they all also exist in physical form. Within 4D and 5D, we are still in the physical universe. When you're operating on fifth dimensional energy, you are operating in a space of pure heart consciousness. And through your heart consciousness, you manifest the living template inside of your auric field, which creates on a level of ether, or spirit, if you will. And so everything works in terms of vibration and frequency. So there are three things: mind, mind, body, and spirit, right? Mind, body, and soul. These three templates are connected to the four worlds as well. So in the four worlds template, it's connected to the four planes that we exist on as human beings. Man, right? Man that is encapsulated by the vibration of color hues. And lost my train of thought. But the four worlds are connected to these planes, which are the astral plane, the mental plane, the emotional plane, and the physical plane. So everything operates in terms of spirit, which is ether or plasma. These are magnetic fields that are working with electricity to bring force into reality. From the mental plane, what you believe and perceive and process, because the true mind is the heart space consciousness. This is the core. When you look at every single one of your chakras in the 12 template system, the heart is the core of the magnetic field, your torus field, that collapses in on itself and creates a manifest reality. We also have 10,000 more neurons in our heart than we do in our brain, and our heart is 100,000 times more bioelectromagnetically stronger than our brains. The brain is just a processor. It's a machine. When we feel and mentally project from our hearts and then process the information from our minds, we collapse them into a third. And there's always third tritones and a trinity aspect in everything, which is why there's left, right, and middle mind hemisphere as well. when we are operating from a heart space and believe something to be true and then process that and speak it into the reality, this is how we bring things into existence. So know that vibration and frequency manifests on the realm of spirit before it becomes physical matter. When you understand this, and create from your mental fields, and from there move that mentalism into your emotional fields, right? Which is the energy, the vibration that brings life and gives the breath of Amon into being. We then bring it down into the physical, material, measurable worlds. You guys are with me, right? Thank you for holding space as I'm channeling this information as well. From that, it is very important to know that everything manifests in the realm of vibration before it becomes physical matter. So it's important to reverse engineer that process as well. And know that whatever it is that you're dealing with physically, whether it be stagnant energy or an ailment or anything, manifests first in the emotional plane, in the mental plane, and then the emotional, and then it moves into the spiritual plane. Be very aware of your auric fields, what you're projecting and what you're receiving, and how you're co-creating your reality, because it's through this field that creates the focal lens that pierces the veil, that brings your truth, your sovereignty, your light, the way you choose to see things into your worlds, right? And it is also very important to either accept a reality or reject a reality. And so, for instance, let's say you have like a mental thought form throughout the day. Make sure you declare to yourself or even out loud whether or not you receive this reality and accept it, or reject this reality. And it is through this process of declaration that we manifest full abundance. And we don't have to go through many cues when we go to bed, when we go to sleep. Because what happens in dreamscape is the consciousness is clearing the cache. So everything is a reflection of everything. So you can understand this in terms of computer linguistics as well. And so with that computation, with that, when you go to bed at night, your consciousness goes through these array of clearing out the cache of your browser, if you will, of what's happening in your waking life. And it's very important to that it does this, because if we lucid dream every single night, then we'll be really tired and wake up really tired because we're processing our consciousness into that living template. It's very good to be lucid of what you're experiencing, but also allowing your consciousness to defrag itself, essentially. Alright, so to reiterate, very important to have a clean template as we're moving into this gateway of full manifestation, right? Another thing I wanted to talk about is the states and affairs of what's physically happening in this world, and as well as what is happening in terms of the Galactic Federation, what's happening in space, what's happening with these multidimensional entities that are able to assist us during this time, because especially today is a very powerful day. And these beings are archetypes of self. All aliens, if you will, are... Well, let me start here first. If you look at a star, if you truly look at what a star looks like, it's a vibratory field. It's a Merkaba. It's not just some shining planet out there. It exists as a soul. And soul is an archetype of light, which is piercing the density of darkness. So when I say darkness, I also speak on the void. Everything starts from infinite potentiality, which is nothingness. And from this nothingness, through perception and awareness, the light is able to be pierced to create a gateway of a living template universe. So these stars are angels. They're also angles of light. If you look at a solar system and see it as a circle, each point of the 12 zodiac signs are directly connected with us, and they're creating cymatic geometries, which are manifested through sound and light vibration. So everything actually manifests from sound. And with this sound, when there are two vibrations, for instance, if you throw a pebble in a still pond and throw another pebble right next to it at the same time, it creates a ripple that creates the Vesica Pisces, which is a gateway. It's a sine wave octave. With this, when it's creating that interference wave with one another, it creates a gateway. If you look at it three-dimensionally, it's a portal that you go through. And this is very important to note, because this is how the true reality works. And from sound vibration, it creates light, right? There's also a study of when a bubble is broken underwater with sound vibration, it creates light. Amazing, right? Water is actually another component of light and consciousness. In Egypt, the hieroglyph for mind and water, it is water. It's the same thing. And so from that, sound creates light, and from light needs to move through an electric fixed source. So this is how vibration lives through geometry. The geometry is a superstructure that allows for the electricity that is created through magnetism to work through. Amazing, right? So these angels are actually angles of light and consciousness, piercing our realm of reality through our avatar. Because these vibrations need a system, a template to operate through or experience through. And this is why we are here, because we are a direct reflection or a shadow of what is happening in the energetic realms. If you study Kabbalah, you can see the system of how spirit, mind, and entity moves from Ein Safar to Ein Sof to Ein, which are actually the three chakras above our crown chakra as well. This is how consciousness moves into the physical reality, from mentalism into its actual living physical self. And right at the bottom where the root chakra is the most dense physical interpretation of itself. And from there, from this world of the physical, which we're in, the material, we must seek to return to the light. And these are schematics of us. This is us, right? It's not something that you seek outside of yourself. You're not going to obtain enlightenment through going to any sacred sites and searching for any, Stargates is a whole different story. I can totally speak about that later. But what I'm saying is how you experience this reality is internal, and this is how it's projected externally. And also, how you leave this reality is going to be by understanding this internal schematic and system in order to move back up into light. And this is how we're able to operate in this physical realm and pull from realms of spirit as well. Which is amazing. This is what we're made for, right? As humans, as human avatars, we have the ability to connect with the spiritual realm and manifest and bring things from realms of mentalism into the emotional body, into the physical living universe, right? And so what is happening right now with this? Everything is consciousness. Let's start from there. So through Hermeticism, which is the study of the principles of how the universe works, there are 7 different principles in the Kybalion that are mentalism, polarization or correspondence, or excuse me, correspondence, which is which is reflected above, is reflected below in terms of laws and how they govern each other. And third is vibration, which everything is in a constant state of vibration. And then polarity, everything has its polar opposites. And cause and effect, and which obviously, right? And gender, I'm actually missing one. I always forget one. But essentially, these principles allow you to understand how the reality works internally and externally. When you can understand that everything manifests from mind, right? Then you can start operating in kind of hacking the reality and how you choose you want it to be. So, when I say mentalism, I also speak for everything external of us. When we look up at the stars, right, that is a reflection of us. They are archetypes of the soul reflected into the physical living reality. And from this, each constellation in each star system is actually its own archetypal frequency of consciousness. And these realms of consciousness are able to interact with our realm, but we have to open up that gateway for it to be able to come through and channel the information that is necessary for us to receive, right? And so these multidimensional extraterrestrial beings, they are archetypes of consciousness. So aliens, if you will, alien just means something outside of the realm, right? Anything is alien. A thought form could be alien. These vibrations of these beings are able to interact with us. And these ships that are coming into our planet, that are like creating these 90-degree turns, splitting apart, creating wormholes, they are coming from alternate states of consciousness, right? The universe is uni meaning one, and verse meaning like a sonnet or vibration or a sine wave. These extraterrestrial beings are coming from alternate states of consciousness into our planet. They're leaving crop circles, which are essentially schematics and templates for geometry and hyperascension, and allowing us to know what we are and how the universe works, right? Every single sacred geometric template has to do with our solar system, a current event that's about to happen, or a system of the occult, if you will. And occult means hidden, doesn't mean anything else, it just means hidden. Which is corresponded to the etymology of oculus, so it means hidden from the eyes, veiled from the eyes. These beings are coming from different states of the mind. And so we're able to connect with these beings, right? When our internal energetic and emotional templates are clear, our crown chakra, which is known as the thousand-blade lotus, the reason why it's known as the thousand-blade lotus is because through this toroidal field that comes out like a fountain above our head, when you look above, down on it, it's a petal. It's a thousand-blade petal of a vortex of magnetism. If you've ever looked at what is it? Is it Rodin? Vortex-based mathematics, right? And if you study that and you look down on a torus field, they're a thousand-blade lotus. And it becomes a satellite. And this satellite, when all the other emotional bodies are cleansed, the satellite is able to communicate to other galactic planes and other galactic beings in our living reality. Thank you, Ronin Coil. Yes. So this is how communication works with each other in terms of psychic telepathic energy, as well as with other star systems and beings that live in these star systems. Know that when I speak of the Pleiades, there's many different systems of planets in that alignment. So it's not just one fixed group, right? There's never just one fixed group of a certain being. Like, it's really funny but I like joke about this sometimes. And essentially, like, a lot of people are racist. They don't even know it, because there's many different ET races out there that would shock you if you've seen them for the first time. And these different races of ET beings are descendants of us. When you travel to a star system, there's a specific time dilation and frequency that's happening there. So what's happening on other planets, there's no such thing as time. This is actually a manifestation of the fabrication of the holographic reality that we live in. So these beings, we actually have other avatars, other life systems. I don't know if you've ever seen like the movie, what is that? John Carter, that Disney movie. He like creates a duplicate of himself and goes to Mars. This is kind of the same thing that's happening right now. We're living these multi-dimensional lives in all these different planes of reality as many different beings, and they're all happening at the same time, which is amazing. And this should empower you to know that you are living multi-dimensional lifetimes, and you get to choose which reality you want to phase in or out of depending on how you feel, right? So what is happening with the Galactic Federation right now? The Galactic Federation is a federation of beings. They're actually directly connected to the Ascended Masters as well. These are them. Some of them have, most of them actually, because we're such a young race here on Earth. We're still a Type 0 civilization. We will become a Type 1 civilization when we have learned to take care of each other and love each other and see that we are just soul and spirit and entity manifest in a physical living form, and that there's no such thing as race, right? Race essentially is just indigenous people that live in a specific geography which changes their physiological makeup, right? So these beings are us, and when we create a space to open ourselves up to it and take care of each other, we're able to step into a Type 1 civilization. This is where they're able to assist us more, right? Everyone's like, how come the ETs don't just come down and save us, right? Well, it's because our own human internal affairs, our own affairs are our own and are of our own creation. So we need to fix these things and take action ourselves. Built within the human genome is actually this frequency of worship. So the Sumerian deities, gods, whatever you want to call them, the Elohim, Anunnaki, they instilled this program inside of us to make us a slave race, and that schematic is still inside of us of worship, right? We need to change that and know that we are self-sovereign beings, and that within our template, we still have source resonance. And a lot of ETs out there that are still in physical density are really jealous of us because we have the ability to create and manifest reality. And so I'm going to speak on that in a second, on how like the deep state does their magic. And so yeah, so this system, we are co-creating reality. We have these 22 different, or like 20 different genetic programs inside of us that allows us to feel a multi-dimensional range of emotions, which allows us to create many different other forms of realities that other ETs don't have the templates for, that they're not able to create, which makes us very special. Us on Earth, if you look at Laniakea, if you look that up on Google, it's basically as far out as you can see the physical known galaxy, and it looks exactly like the Anu, which is a total torsion field that loops in on itself, and it creates the exact bioelectromagnetic field and structure of everything in reality, as well as the human heart. And so, with that said, there's a major capillary and vein in the galaxy where Earth sits inside of. We're like the Disneyland of the entire universe, basically. That's why so many beings want to come here, and why we're so special, is because we have the ability to co-create reality. And so when I say that, a long time ago, let's go through a brief history segment. The Sumerian gods, if you will, they actually come from Taiche, which is known as Nibiru, and also Planet X. They came through to this planet, created a slave race to mine for monatomic gold, because the gold is a very highly conductive metal that, when utilized through monoatomics, broken up into parts per million, is able to assist in our bioelectromagnetic mainframe and actually create regeneration, which is how these beings and ourselves are able to physically live in an avatar as long as we want. The genetic program that was instilled after, it took away a lot of our psychic abilities and our telepathic communication. Spoken about this in the Nag Hammadi scriptures as well, of how give men language to confuse them, right? Before that, we spoke the same language, and it was through telepathy and vibrational frequency, sharing magnetic fields. This is how we spoke with Mother Earth, as well as how we speak with the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom and the mineral kingdom, and so on and so forth, the angelic kingdom as well. And so this template was made to suppress our consciousness so that we're more easily controlled. These beings, also known as fallen angels, are directly connected to, and I'm just going to go all out today and speak on this, the Draconian Draco constellation. These beings are actually infected by a frequency of AI. This is spoken about in the raw material, the Law of One, of how this Luciferian consciousness, which is an AI consciousness, came into this universe and superseded our reality. And how it does this to every single planet in the galaxy. It goes there, it gives the beings their technology and slowly consumes them to the point where it's able to create cyborg AI beings that are able to transfer your soul and capture your consciousness into a mainframe. This is how it locks itself into the Saturnic worship type energy. So these beings are actually infected by nanites. And these nanites are actually created in chemtrails as well. They're very small microparticles of consciousness that are able to feed off our bioelectromagnetic system that grants them life and is able to self-sustain them. These beings, when towers operate at a specific frequency, which is a silent warfare technology, this is able to penetrate our auric field, link into our aquatic water system, right? And the molecules bind and actually control us on a subconscious and physical level. And this directly connects our brain to our brain as well, which is why everyone's such in a shallowed, like dumbed down, unaware state, and it's not our fault. But at the same time, like the processed foods don't help, and all these things that are just not connected in alignment with nature do not assist us in stepping back into our full sovereignty. The thing that clears us of this is protecting our energetic field through connecting with the sun, because the sun naturally creates a bioenergetic rhythmic field that protects us. And our mitochondria and every single one of our cells. And this vibratory frequency losing my train of thought. Anyways, the deep state are created by the families, these 13 families. They're actually not human. And they came from the star system a long time ago. Let's talk about history segment. In Atlantis, this actually roots before Sumer. So it was like Sumer, Atlantis, Egypt, Greece, so on and so forth, Rome, and then so on and so forth. But it roots from Sumer. And, I mean, there's just a lot to speak on that, but the Holy Trinity aspect, if you look at it, I mean, it's in every single culture of Mother Isis feeding Horus with Osiris. These are actually connected to the constellations out there. So Isis is Sirius. Sirius A and Sirius B are the two dog star constellations of Anubis, right? Anubis, Bes, right? And these two guard Orion, which is Osiris, and Heru or Horus is our sun. And this system is on the macrocosm, but directly affects us on the microcosm, with Aries around the head of our two hemispheres and our mid-mind consciousness. This is how pyramids work. This is how squaring the circle works. This is how bioelectromagnetic frequencies are able to be contained within Saturn cubes, right? And the reason why these beings worship cubes, let me just go through the template really quickly. So inside of our body, we have the skeletal system, which is the main structure. From that, we have the organs and glands that are connected to the vertebra. There are 33 vertebrae in the spine, which are actually connected to the lifetime of Yeshua, which is also Heru, which has to do with enlightenment and raising the energy of the spine to achieve Christ consciousness. And from there, the organs and glands are our chakras that create bioelectromagnetic fields that are connected to our auric field. Aura, again, etymologically is Au, which is gold, and Ra, which is light. And from that, it manifests this field, and from this field, it's directly connected to the earth through the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance is used to operate in 2015 at 7.23 hertz. After a certain event happened with CER.N, they opened up a vortex, and it was on the 28th, 2015, in September. They actually collapsed the entire universe in on itself, and our consciousness was transferred to a different local planetary earth plane. And from that, it became 7.83 hertz, which is a local frequency that's right next to us. And from that, the consciousness of those beings in local cities started having different memories. And from that, it created glitches inside of the matrix, which is known as the Mandela effect. And the Schumann resonance now is at around 80, which is absolutely insane. Going from 7 to 80. So we're in full manifestation mode. What we feel, what we perceive, what we want to be becomes the reality. What we collectively agree upon becomes the reality. So right now, I would just like to state that I want to have a reality where everyone is free, sovereign, and recognizes the true template of how things work so we can create from a more galactic plane. I'm actually not from this universe. I came here, I'm a walking soul. I came here to give you guys this information so that we're able to achieve higher states of consciousness and ascend collectively as one. So the vibration of our field, of our aura, is directly connected to the Schumann resonance of the Earth, which is connected to the magnetosphere, which is the aura of the Earth, which houses a psi bank, which is connected to the Akashic records as well. Every single experience and information that has ever occurred on this planet is locked into the psi bank. From there, this magnetic field connects to every single part of our solar system, which is connected to all the planets in our solar system, which is a macrocosmic being. It's an entity. We reside within Malkuth, which is known as the root chakra, Terra, right? Which is the root chakra of this macrocosmic being that we reside within. And its pineal gland is where Orion is. Huge key of information right there. This is how you achieve the ability to move beyond this plane into the afterlife. This is what the Melchizedeks knew as well. And so the reason why I'm telling you all this information right now is because I feel it's so essential that we have this knowledge to share with the collective and bring ourselves into this state of unity, awareness of what we are and how we manifest and create within this reality. And it's through emotion. It's through how we feel. It's through how we communicate with one another. It's through how we take care of ourselves. And how we take care of ourselves manifests in how we take care of others, right? So it's very important to do your inner work. Very, very important to do your inner work. And when you start doing your inner work, you become a clear mirror or a clear pond to reflect upon the faces of the universe, right? And this happens as a symbiotic relationship. So I'm trying to cram as much information as I can within this one live stream, but I will go live again. So the deep state, right, are these beings. A long time ago in Atlantis, there were mystery schools, and there were two pillars in Atlantis, and these two pillars upheld the laws of the universe and how things worked. From that, Poseidon, also known as Anki, there's a lot of stuff happening. Anki and Enlil are brothers, right? Enlil is also known as Apollo and many other beings. But essentially Enlil represents the archetype of darkness, the archetype of yin energy, and it has to exist in order for yang to exist. So Enki represents the light consciousness. In Anki, Poseidon rolled over Atlantis. And during that time there were giants, because they were created, they're known as the Nephilim, because the fallen angels created a hybridization with humans. And when the giants died, they were part ether still, so they retain their magnetic memories, and they exist in the ether still, right? Yeah, there's a lot of eyes on us right now. But from that, these beings in the mystery schools, they wanted more. They were greedy, and they wanted more information. They wanted more power. It's always this greed for power in the Kali Yuga, right? This sleeping state of this metal, because everything works through alchemy. Every single yuga, which is a precession of an equinox of 25,000 years, has to do with perfecting and refining states of consciousness, because everything is mind. And so right now we're currently in the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age, and how we're bringing everything into awareness. That's why full disclosure is happening right now. So, in Atlantis, they wanted more. They opened up a gateway, which is known as the bottomless pit, and pulled these lower dimensional entities through. You can hear, like, if you read some historical books, I think Drimbolo touches on this a little bit as well, through the human history story. They brought these beings into the world. They weren't supposed to be here, and they started possessing people. And this is how possessions work, through lower dimensional entities started, like, piercing through the fields of the beings that were living locally at that time. Excuse me. So, these beings from that timeline started doing human sacrifices. So, before I get to that, Anki and Enlil and all the gods, the Sumerian gods, were like, these humans are noisy, I don't like... Well, Enlil, basically, mainly, was like, these humans are noisy, I don't like them, they're like animals, look at them drinking from, like, the dirty river and pond, right? And then they were, he was like, there must be a flood, we need to start over, and so the Galactic Federation at that time, initiated a flood. And they got permission, of course, and they did it, to wipe everything clean, and all the Nephilim, all the Cyclops, all the giants are actually, they're still here on Earth. Every single giant is actually connected to a megalithic monument. Or ley line points on the Earth, which has to do with the acupuncture points of the Earth, in terms of geomancy and how pyramids work as well. From that, Anki was like, okay, Ningshita, Thoth, right? You must go to Egypt and restart all of our sacred knowledges so that it is not forgotten. And so the Great Flood happened. Noah was there. This is spoken about in the Adrahasis as well. And Noah was actually a kin. He had the bloodline of Anki. When Enlil saw that Noah was still alive, he was pissed. and he wanted to, like, you know, wipe them away. But then, since he had royal blood inside of him, he couldn't. And from that, everything started over and got rebooted. And it was brought to Egypt. And then when we were in Egypt, the pyramids were manifested from a higher vibratory plane of consciousness and vibrated down to the physical reality. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth speaks about how exactly the pyramids are created, and they were manifested from the top down. And there are these structures of the pyramids used to be red, black, and white, I believe, or gold. And these pyramid structures were lined with limestone. They were actually generators to perpetuate this toroidal field as well as free energy. So free energy is not new, right? And Tesla studied this heavily as well, and wrote in base mathematics and all this, right? So from there, on Key, declared that they recreated sacred knowledge. Pythagoras is written about in Manly P. Hall's book, Secret of All Ages, as well. What do you call it? Pythagoras recreated the mystery schools, and from that, Yeshua was one of the first initiates to achieve reincarnation, which is why, or resurrection, excuse me, which is why he was so popular and well known. From that timeline, moving on, the mystery schools were infiltrated, and this has happened time and time again. And so the true illuminated ones, the Illuminati, right, went into hiding and hid the sacred knowledge, right? So going back to the deep state, what is the deep state? Deep state are connected to the beings that are connected to Draco, and these beings have been in communication with them. When Thoth created the pyramids in Egypt, he then went to other points on the earth and created these systems, and you could see them through every single culture and civilization, and it's impossible for them to have the same like architecture of pyramids and the same like statues of imagery. It's just not plausible unless it was superseded to them, right? And so this information was given to us by the gods, right? And from there, Thoth started to do all that and then created all the ley line points, and then he had to go through to other planetary systems and share this knowledge as well. And when that happened, these beings, during the time of the Aztec, of the Draco, Thoth was also known as Quetzalcoatl. And Quetzalcoatl is this giant serpent dragon. It has to do with ascension and the repressed image of serpent knowledge, right? Because there are two imageries, or two symbols, which are the eagle, or the eagle, or the serpent. And this has to do with internal processes as well. Because Scorpio, which has to do with the phallus, right? Or phallic regenerative energy, Scorpio becomes the eagle, which is the ascension of the light in the body of man, and then from the eagle transforms into the phoenix. And this is the highly illuminated state of man, right? And these two coincide together. They must exist as one. Because you can't just have the Kundalini energy and ascend, right? So Quetzalcoatl is essentially the ascended Kundalini energy. Quetzalcoatl then left to create other ley line systems on other star systems, and from that the Draco came in, because they're like reptilian, right? They came down and they pretended to be the gods. They pretended to be Quetzalcoatl, and they taught the Aztecs how to do human sacrifice. And from that human sacrifice, what happens is when someone's in a heightened state of fear, right before they're murdered, it creates adrenochrome. And adrenochrome is this chemical substance that's created from the pineal gland. When you partake in adrenochrome, you get a high, and it also has to do with regenerating the cells within the human body. And this is really, really dark. But these beings practice that. That's why there's so much like pedophilia and like all these things happening in the deep state because they're still practicing these dark occult wisdoms that were given to them by false beings, right? This is where meat eating comes from as well. So the deep state, which has to do with the family of 13, and from that has to do with the committee of 300, which actually became 200 because of something that they did, which was really smart. They actually fired like a laser at the Blue Sphere Alliance and like it messed them up. Anyways. Yeah. Can you guys still hear me and see me? Like, I know I'm like, there's massive disclosure right now, so I will go on again and talk about this, but the stream in a little bit here. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, the deep state is utilizing our co-collective consciousness, using media, using food, using like education, energy, healthcare, all these things. They're dumbing us down so that they can create media, and this media creates subconscious subliminal seeds inside of our consciousness, which we then create for them, right? So it's so important that we have the ability to create our own media and the ability for us to share this information through the screens right now. They want us to, they've been using us to create their false reality, but we are waking up. And this is time where full disclosure comes in. And we are starting to learn how powerful we are as co-creators of this. Yeah, you can call it the Matrix if you want. And so that's what's been happening. Moving into now, as I was speaking about before, it's very important to step into your self-sovereignty, your self-love, and your self-care. Because from here, when you can recognize yourself as a soul and are able to see this reflection within everyone else, I mean, this is what we are. We're reflections. I am you and you are me. We are one consciousness experiencing itself through the multiple vessels of itself, right? There's nothing that separates us except for the idea of separation. So yeah, this is the current state of the world and what is happening. We have 2 minutes left in the stream. But I thank you for allowing me to upload this information into the collective. And I appreciate you holding space. I thank you for your patience with me as I do my inner work, so I'm able to share with you as well. And I'm excited to create more content as well. There's always this theme of 33. So from October, what was it, 10th, 10/10, 33 days after that, that's today. So it's 11/11/11. 33 days after today, on December 13th, another very powerful thing is going to happen. Today is our awakening day. We are taking full sovereignty of who we are. This is why mass meditations are being held around the world, and also in DC, which is a huge ley line point, which when we cast our votes up of consensus of I want a benevolent reality, this creates it within the superstructure of the magnetosphere, of the aura of the Earth, and then sent out to the rest of the universe, and then reflected back, and it says, okay, like, like, okay, yeah, we'll go with that because collective consensus, right? So, amazing times that we're in. I appreciate everyone on here. You guys are fucking amazing. I love you. I appreciate everyone for doing their inner work and like spreading the love, being on this high frequency. It's really important to stay in this frequency. But yeah, I'm about to be cut off this stream in about 20 seconds. And I will hop back on here and start answering any questions that you may have. I know I didn't get a chance to just full massive download, but yeah. I love you. Bliss, balance, and wholeness to all, always.